Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind. We got to talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. A lot of people don't know what it is, what these programs are, and of course there's a whole lot of misinformation, mostly coming from the left on these topics. It's simply a racial reckoning to undo decades of harm and help people of color, help marginalized people achieve their dreams. It sounds all nice and warm and fluffy, makes you feel so good. Some people, of course, fall for the scam. They make it their identity in some cases. But beneath the surface of these DEI programs, it isn't all lollipops, rainbows, and puppies. It's very simply discrimination. It's vile discrimination. It's racism. Probably most importantly, it's bad policy. So we're going to continue the conversation around these DEI programs. And what I mean by conversation is we're going to continue to expose the evil that lies beneath the surface. But before we get into that, today's video is brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's play that clip. This video is brought to you guys by our great friends at American Hartford Gold. Folks, we're living through the age of fiat currency, but pretty soon we're going to completely transition away from paper money into a full digital dollar world, the central bank digital currency. In other words, the Fed is going to have total administrative control on every dollar in the economy and everybody's bank account. As we inevitably march into that system, there's only one way to protect yourself, or at least hedge a little, and that's by owning precious metals, gold and silver. That's where American Hartford Gold comes in, the highest rated gold company in the US, with thousands upon thousands of 5-star reviews and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. With one phone call, they could deliver physical gold and silver straight to your doorstep or directly into your IRA or 401k. And best of all, on top of how easy it is, American Hartford Gold is currently running a promotion where you could get up to $5,000 of free silver on qualifying orders. One phone call or text message away. All you gotta do is call 844-440-1005 or text Hivemind, one word, to 65532. That's Hivemind, one word, to 65532. A huge thank you to American Hartford Gold. Now back to the video. Alright folks, DEI. It means a whole lot of things, but it seems as though for the most part it's kind of up to your interpretation, or in many cases, up to the interpretation of woke HR departments and executives, and that's really where we get lost in the sauce. What exactly is the definition of DEI? Well, to be honest with you, based on my interpretation, based on what I'm seeing at many of these companies, the D doesn't stand for diversity, but rather discrimination. Here's a video from a Google DEI workplace training session where this was said.
If you had been taught equality from the beginning, you wouldn't be flipping out, but that's how hegemonic dominance works, and so I think that's why it happens, and we have to be willing to talk about that because it's really unhealthy. This white anxiety is a public health crisis in that regard. And that's why, not only we were talking in the other room a minute ago before we came in here, that it's not just the opioid crisis that we think about with folks killing themselves disproportionately, increasingly white working class folks who are, using heroin or using over-the-counter opioids, but they're political opioids. Turning to a candidate who says, you vote for me and I will take away your pain, I will bring back those jobs, I will make your life better, that's a form of an opiate as well. So we got to be honest about the dysfunctionality of and the real danger of the frontlash, backlash, whatever we want to call it, even for the people who are thinking they're going to benefit from it.
Yeah. Now, of course, very vague terminology was used, but we know exactly what he was alluding to. Essentially, what he's saying is that we're facing a public health crisis because white people are voting for Republicans. And somehow that's connected to the opioid crisis. When we talk about the hypocrisy of this supposed diversity that the left tends to push within these little activist sessions, how it's surface level diversity based on how people look, how they present themselves, a diverse cast, if you will. Ideological diversity, however, no. The fact that white people are voting for Republicans, well, that's racist and it's a public health crisis. Welcome to the discrimination of the left. Of course, it doesn't end there. Here's the CEO of United Airlines saying that he takes race and gender into account when hiring, meanwhile claiming that there's too many white people, or white males rather, in the airline industry.
How is diversity and diversity targets working into the Aviate Academy?
We have committed that 50% of the class of the classes will be women or people of color. Today, only 19% of our pilots at United Airlines are women or people of color. And by the way, from all the data I've seen, that's the highest of any airline in the country.
White males don't just dominate in the cockpits, also in the C-suite at United Airlines.
Well, look, at United, I'm proud of the diversity that we actually have in our C-suite. I think if you look around corporate America.
Correct me if I'm saying, though, so this was just based off your website, the people you list as executives, but out of 11 people, 3 are women. I believe 1 is a person of color.
That's correct. But, in corporate America, I think,
That's a low bar. How do you
Yeah.
raise your own bar?
well, a lot of this is, focusing on it. We have programs one of the things we do is for every job when we do an interview, we require women and people of color to be involved in the interview process, bringing people in early in their careers as well, and giving them those opportunities and creating a stronger bench.
It's just flat out discrimination and racism. Here's another bombshell from this week. A post by End Wokeness that took Twitter by storm. Exclusive UW Health employees sent this for their mandatory DEI training. White employees are required to check off examples of their white privilege and white fragility. Whites are also instructed to take steps like yielding positions of power to non-whites in order to atone for their natural racism. Read these articles and do self-reflection. 6 ways to be anti-racist because being not racist isn't enough. Stop killing us. A real-life nightmare. Reflection questions. Do I understand the definition of racist? Do I understand that not being racist isn't the same as being anti-racist? Have I spent time identifying that racial inequities and disparities exist? Ask questions about inequities, who's benefiting, who is being left out? What assumptions am I making? What assumptions are we making? How can I infuse equity into my work? In other words, how can I infuse communism or cultural Marxism into my work? Have I confronted my fear of identifying my power and privilege? What am I doing every single day to force myself to think about racism and white supremacy? What am I doing every single day to stop the killing of black people? What am I even reading? This is the type of training that people are forced to take in the corporate world. Excuse me, ma'am, I'm trying to flip burgers. Yes, but have you forced yourself to think about white supremacy today? Have you forced yourself to make sure you're doing something every single day to stop the killing of black people? What am I supposed to do? Go to Gangland, Chicago to negotiate peace treaties between rival gang members? No, of course not. That's not what they meant. They meant the non-existent supposed epidemic of white-on-black violence. As seen on the graph over here, if that's not proof of a genocide, then I don't know what is. Obviously, you can sense the sarcasm. We are living in clown world. This is racism. This is discrimination. Here we have statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I believe this is 2021, post-George Floyd riots. Corporate America pledged to hire more people of color, and it actually did. The year after Black Lives Matter protests, the S&P 100 added more than 300,000 jobs, and 94% went to people of color. Look at the numbers as you can see below. They reduced white employment numbers by nearly 1 million. We have this, what you're seeing on the screen is equity. This is cultural Marxism. Enforced racial quotas, determining eligibility based on the color of people's skin. These DEI programs are immoral. Back in 1964, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Provisions of the Civil Rights Act forbade discrimination on the basis of sex as well as race in hiring, promoting, and firing. What these companies are doing is illegal. That clip of the CEO from United Airlines that I showed you guys earlier is by definition illegal. The law is right in front of you. Leftoids describe this stuff as righting the wrongs of history, as progressive, as social justice, but the real description is cultural Marxism. When we're talking about equity, we're talking about Marxism. We're talking discrimination, we're talking quotas. Not only is it idiotic, as I think a lot of corporations are learning these days as they're shutting down their DEI programs and DEI departments. I mean, it's completely idiotic to hire people for the job based on immutable characteristics rather than qualifications. Not only is it dumb, not only is it bad policy, I mean, look at this headline. Welcome to Clown World. FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Not only is it dumb, not only is it bad policy, but it's evil, it's immoral, and most importantly, as I proved today, it is illegal. The left tells you one thing, they present this beautiful, sunny picture of what these DEI programs are meant to do or what they're doing, but the reality beneath the surface is something much more sinister, wrapped up in a beautiful, fluffy, progressive bunny disguise.